First track final of the 2019 World Championships. Emily Sisson, the fastest in the world this year. Helen Obiri, world cross-country champion. World champion on the track. Molly Huddle, Wanjiru, Sifan Hassan, arguably one of the season's outstanding performers. She's broken the world record for 5K on the roads and the mile. Steph Twella, Great Britain. Crummins there of the Netherlands. Great medal at the European Champs last year. Mariella Hall, top 60 in the world cross. Just last year, Ellie Paisley, Australia going through shot. Agnes Tirop. Tirop will be amongst those hoping to feature for a medal. This woman might upset the Hassan Obiri storyline. Letesenbet Gidey, 2 times a world junior cross-country champion, got a bronze in Aarhus in her first year as a senior, and is the fastest woman in the world this year. She's got a lovely running style. That's Sinead Diver on the right of picture there. She's enjoying an Indian summer in her career, flourishing into her early 40s. Hassan against Obiri. This could be a great duel in the early evening haze. The final of the women's 10,000 metres gets underway, and it's Agnes Tirop just ambling her way round. 3 very good Ugandans in this race as well. Stella Chesang, she's right up there. Commonwealth champion and former world mountain running champion. She's just tucked in on the inside, along with Camilla Buscombe. Buscombe was 30th 2 years ago, the New Zealander just having a look over her shoulder. Rachel Chebet of Uganda with the distinctive yellow spikes. She's in 3rd behind Agnes Tirop. Tirop just on the 2nd to the right there. Another world cross-country champion. Her title came in Guiyang in 2015. And she got a bronze 2 years ago in this race. But the big story here is perhaps Sifan Hassan, who has set world records for the 5K and the mile, and European records for the 3,000 and the 5,000. She's back towards the rear of the pack. She's very inexperienced at this distance. Alina Ray, good athlete there from Germany in the foreground, and so too is Helen Obiri. So the 2 star names have not run much over 10,000 metres, and that's what makes this race, Jenny Meadows, so intriguing.
It does, it's very much open. Quite a lot of the events here, there's favourites or there's head-to-heads. This actually could just go to anyone, but so much great statistics from so many of these athletes. Some of them have got quite a range and quite a versatility. I was actually looking through the history of this championships. This didn't actually start the women's 10,000 metres till the 1987 edition. Ingrid Christian of Norway won the first title, followed by Liz McColgan of Great Britain. It went to China next with Wang, then on to Portugal, Bernardo Ribeiro. But the last 11 editions of the 10,000 metres have gone from competitors from Ethiopia and Kenya. It could very much be the same this evening, although Hassan offers that threat for Europe and for the Netherlands.
Alina Ray has just decided to make an honest pace of this race. European under-23 gold medalist, cross-country and 10,000 metre running. Fabulous athlete. You've got the New Zealander, Camilla Buscombe, just behind her, and that looks like it's Steph Twella, Great Britain, in 3rd. That's Wanjiru, 9th in the African Champs, with Chesang, the Commonwealth champion, running back in the pack. No move yet from Letesenbet Gidey, the tall Ethiopian, who is the fastest athlete in the world this year. And Ray is doing the sensible thing here. She's turning this into an honest pace, with Nia of Japan moving up into 4th.
I've seen Ray do this during the IAAF World Indoor Tour. She competed in some 3,000 metres, and she's not afraid to go to the front and to make it an honest race. As we see the splits now coming through from the 1 kilometre mark, 3:13, 3:14, 3:15, 16 for the majority of the pack. So they're all really bunched up at the moment.
Yes, Letesenbet Gidey right at the very back of the field and quite content to be there. I mean, winning the Ethiopian trials, bearing in mind that they have 9 of the fastest 10 times in the world this year, is no mean feat. And Gidey, still so young. I'm going to keep a close eye on the woman at the very top of your picture there. Sifan Hassan's not too far in front of her, and Helena Beery's not really interested in the early pace here either, but it's such an intriguing race. I mean, Hassan, out of picture at the moment, has entered the 10, the 5 and the 15. She can't do the 5 and the 15 because they clash. So she's going to make a decision as to which event she does, depending on how this goes and how she feels. Wouldn't it be a unique scenario where you'd have an athlete running the 10,000 and the 1,500? I'm talking about Hassan, who's 4th from the back there in the orange strip of Holland.
Yeah, she has so much versatility, doesn't she? She's recently got the 1 mile world record in Monaco. She went through 1,500 metres in 3:55:30 during that record-breaking run. And she's even got the European half marathon record on the roads. She did that in her debut last year in Copenhagen, 65:15. So such is the range of Hassan. She can look at a championship, like a world championship, enter 3 events and think, which 2 shall I do?
Well, that's got to be unprecedented. I can't remember a male or female athlete running a 10 and a 15. She might not do the 15, but she won the diamond titles in the 15 and the 5,000, so she's got a great chance, whichever of the events she chooses to enter, if this race doesn't take too much out of her.
Yeah, she'll make a decision after this. The 5,000 and the 10,000 obviously can make complete sense, and there'll be a lot of athletes in this field who will be taking part and doubling up, as we call it in the sport. But yeah, 1,500. It's such a contrast in the training as well. This is what really amazes me about Hassan. I did notice this year she had a few faults in the 1,500 at the beginning of the season. She was 5th in the Diamond League in Shanghai, followed by a 3rd in Nanjing in China over the 1,500 metres. She'd just come off the back of half marathon training and competition at that point. So a little bit rusty. I say rusty, she was still running 4 minutes for the 1,500, but as the season has progressed, her training would have come down in volume. She obviously thinks she could actually do the 1,500 as well as the 10K. I very much think she may go more to the 5. It does lend itself, but you know, this is an interesting athlete. I've got a little funny fact. It really made me laugh about Gidey, actually. I wrote it down. She was actually expelled from school. Cover your ears up, young children, if you listen to this, because she refused to run at school as part of her PE lessons. She didn't enjoy running, and here she is, one of the favourites for the 10,000 metres at the World Athletics Championships.
You never know. You never know, do you? Gidey's right at the very back of the field. Not even passing through shot. There she is. She's such a good-looking runner, so smooth. I'm really excited about what a talent she is, because to win the World Junior title twice means your first time round you've got to either be 16 or only just having turned 17. It's incredible.
Yeah, to be one of the best in the world, or the best in the world, and to give 2 years away to your, fellow competitors is absolutely unheard of. I think it's only the likes of Jakob Ingebrigtsen who we expect those things from. But really interesting, Ray's pushing this along. You can see that she's running really spirited, lots of energy at the front of the pack. Absolutely contrast that there to Gidey at the back. She just looks like she's trying to just tick off more and more laps. She's just trying to not consume too much energy. She's just trying to let this race progress, and she just wants a few more laps to tick over before we presume she'll start making her way up the field.
Alina Ray leading. 6.5 laps completed here in this wonderful Khalifa International Stadium. Ray still leading from Buscombe and Twell. Huddle and Sissons just running together with Mariella Hall in the middle of the pack. So good to see the Americans with 3 represented in this race. I'll never forget poor old Molly Huddle, who's been so consistent. I think she won her 28th national title earlier this year. Molly Huddle just going through shot there. Huddle had bronze sewn up 4 years ago. She put her arms up to celebrate, and Emily Infeld, her compatriot, out-dipped her on the line for the bronze. It was a wonderful opportunity for Huddle, a great ambassador for American distance running, to get a global medal, and it went, of all people, to her compatriot. I've never managed to watch it back on YouTube. It just, as a club runner, it just brings me out in hives. I felt so sorry for her.
Oh, I wonder whether Molly Huddle's actually watched that back as well. I remember it. I remember it more than the actual race. You know, those kind of feelings afterwards, and Emily Infield almost was apologising to Molly Huddle after that. But this is world-class athletics. Medals are on the line, and you know, you've just got to do what it takes. Huddle thought she'd got that bronze medal, she celebrated, and obviously Emily Infield took full advantage. But just looking now at this race now, DA have actually moved off the back of the pack. She's second to the back now, but they're really spread out, aren't they? And we can actually see for the first time on the back stretch that people have started to get nearer to the front. Over 3K has been completed now.
And now, after 3,000 metres, Kenya 1, 2 and 3, Ethiopia 4, 5 and 6. Normal order is resumed. And it's Rosemary Wanjiru, who has done a lot of her racing in Japan, who's decided to take this on. I think this is predetermined tactics by the Kenyans, because they know just how strong this trio of Ethiopians are. Teferi and Gudeta, the athletes in 4th and 5th, were side by side when they ran a 65-minute half marathon in the Middle East in February, and they've got Gudeta just behind, Gidey rather, just behind them. Wodak, the Canadian, just beginning to find this a little tough. I think they decided they don't want to allow the Ethiopians to coast along on a very slow pace. And look at this move, so aggressive here. Helen O'Beary, the world cross-country champion, the world champion over 5,000 metres, a former world indoor champion. Delivering here what looks to be predetermined tactic to really try and hurt the best of the rest. And the other little subplot here is that Hassan is beginning to close, but she's still a couple of metres behind this leading 6 from Kenya and Ethiopia.
Yeah, Hassan has realised that the pace has increased, and she was in no man's land a moment or two ago, and she's just economically trying to find her way back to the back of this pack. Naya from Japan as well is doing well. Molly Huddle is bringing the remainder of the pack, trying to keep them close to the front. But Hassan has noticed the danger. Just a couple of metres off the back there now in 7th position.
O'Beary has a slightly uncomfortable looking, ungainly style, but my goodness me, it's effective when it works. And I hope you're getting an insight here into the true extent of the noise. We're up in our commentary position. Nia doing well here, trying to close the gap. There is so much noise being made by the Ethiopians and Kenyans. Tirop leads from Wanjiru. Teferi up into 3rd place now, with Helen Obiri in 4th and Sifan Hassan in 5th, as we look at the 2 Americans working alongside one another, with Hall there. All 3 of them all in a line trying to close the gap on Nia, who took 5 years off with injury and is doing very well to try and close that gap. She's in the metaphorical no man's land at the moment. A huge group trying to chase her down, and Gidey still there at the back of this group, not making any impact yet. What a mouth-watering prospect we have for the second half of this race. There's Nia, and then the gap to Huddle, Sissons and Hall, with Buscombe of New Zealand still doing well to stay in the hunt here.
So it's a clear 7 competitors away from the rest of the field. Really interesting to see the differences in running style. Sifan Hassan doesn't look comfortable, does she, at this speed? She's almost not using her arms. She's almost tucking them in a little bit towards the centre of her body. She's not having to use her arms. She's not having to drive at the moment. Her leg length is a lot shorter than we're used to seeing her, obviously, over the 3 3/4 laps of the 1500 metres.
Well, by the way, I've just seen Alina Ray being led off in a wheelchair. She's really struggling. I think it's just heat exhaustion. Alina Ray, the European under-23 champion at cross-country and 10,000 metres. And the other significance here is that this big group of Kenyans and Ethiopians, along with Sifan Hassan, they've dropped one of their own. One of that group has become detached. It's Gudeta, I think, the world half marathon champion. She's allowed a gap of some 25 metres or so to grow between her and the rest. So all of a sudden, where we had 3 Ethiopians together, we now have 2 Ethiopians taking on the mighty rivals from the other side of the magnificent Rift Valley. But Letesenbet Gidey is still there, still looking so strong and so comfortable. What a battle this is turning out to be. We've got Abiri against Hassan, but we can't forget about Wanjiru and Tirop and Teferi and Gidey.
No, we're very much looking forward to the men's 5,000 metre final in a couple of nights' time. We had the heats yesterday, but very much like that event, this women's event is stacked, isn't it? We're obviously focusing on the front of the field, but some of these other athletes, they're running some fantastic times. These are great athletes in their own right. Really interesting to see the 3 American athletes working hard, but yeah, there's Ray, the German athlete. She's just decided at this point she's actually holding her stomach. It's a long way to go if you're not feeling good. And yeah, such a shame for her when she led the race out for so many laps at the beginning, and we hope that Alina Ray's okay.
9 laps to go in this women's 10,000 metres. Wanjiru leads from Tirop. Sembere Teferi, silver medalist in Beijing, over 5,000 metres. She's 3rd. Helen Obiri, the reigning world cross-country champion, is 4th, with Sifan Hassan 5th, and Gidey just behind her in 6th. And Obiri's beginning to make a move. Great work by the Americans there, down the beginning of the back straight. But Helen Obiri, with 8.5 laps to go, has decided to go to the front for the first time. Now this might be significant because the group were just getting very, very bunched together, and maybe Obiri sensed they were beginning to slow. And it's Hassan at the back now, just having to hang on a little bit. Teferi in 2nd. All 3 Kenyans still very much in the mix, but it's Helen Obiri, their most experienced athlete, who has achieved so much on the track, and she's bringing her career in stadiums to a close quite soon. She says after Tokyo she'll be a road runner, so we won't have too many more opportunities to see Helen Obiri. Still the 3 Americans working so well together, trying to close down the gap on Netzanet Gudeta, who has been passed by Hitomi Nia, who's still running on her own in 7th place.
Yeah, that's a hard position to run on your own. She's having a great race, but these are the hard laps. once we get down to 3 or 4 laps to go, that's when the race really kicks off. But when you've got, you know, 7, 8 laps to go, there can be a lot of thoughts in your head where you're actually thinking, I'm not feeling great. These are just the laps that you just need to be mentally tough in. You just need to follow the pack. You just have to get yourself ready for a move when it happens at any point. But this looks like it's going to go right down to the wire at this point.
Well, there's so much talent in this leading group of 6. There really is. Obiri is an Olympic silver medalist, a Commonwealth champion, a world champion. Teferi has won medals at cross country and 5,000 metres. Tirop got a bronze, the Kenyan in 3rd 2 years ago, and she beat Helen Obiri in the Kenyan trials on the 22nd of August. Huddle, Sissons and Hall now coming past Letesenbet Gidey, who is the reigning world half marathon champion. Now, Letesenbet Gidey coming up onto the shoulder of Agnes Tirop. That's one of the Ugandans being lapped, Juliet Chekwell, who's the national record holder. Finding this too tough in these sticky conditions. Still Obiri pouring this on, but Sifan Hassan, who has got an extraordinary range of distances and times, has not become detached. 3:55 for the 1500, 14:44, a world record 5k on the roads, and she just gives Rosemary Wanjiru a little nudge in the back and does the same to Tirop there, as if to say, listen, I'm still here, this is getting a bit too slow and I fancy this. And now the youngster coming wide on the outside and throws a bit of a dirty look at Agnes Tirop as she moves alongside her compatriot Teferi, who's talking to her teammate. Now, they're talking tactics here. I thought maybe they were going for a drink, but there's a full-on conversation going on here. Yamanuchi has been lapped, but she's now, and you do see this occasionally, picking up her momentum again and trying to use the leading pack to work her way back up around the field. Gidey just throws her a little look. She looks ominously good here, Letesenbet Gidey, doesn't she?
She does. I think she's hardly breathing. She's wiping a little bit of sweat away from her brow, but her running style is so economical. In complete contrast there to Helen Obiri, who kind of rocks and rolls her way along the track. Gidey looks really good. This is the first time we've actually seen her lead. There's been no significant increase in pace. She's just found herself there more than anything.
You could throw a double duvet over that group of women. It's going to come down to a burn-up over a mile. And if it does, as we look at the Americans still working tightly together, they're taking some big scalps here if they can finish ahead of Letesenbet Gidey. Question here, as we look at this group, don't worry, Rachel Chebet is on a different lap because these athletes are in a different class. Chebet was not too far off the podium in the World Cross, but she's finding the speed here and the conditions a bit difficult. Here's the question, Jenny. If it does come down to a mile-long burn-up, in terms of raw speed, the fastest athlete on paper is Sifan Hassan at the back. But can she produce that speed at the end of 24 brutal laps with a 400 to go if it does get that close?
Well, that's a great question. It's a question that we'll see answered very, very shortly. I presume Hassan thinks she can. She's chose to enter this. She did win the Diamond League 1500 metres. We know how good she is at the 5K. She medalled in the 5K 2 years ago in London, a surprise bronze at that time, but she must think she can, and here's a significant move.
The Ethiopians in the crowd, you can see them in the background, are going absolutely wild. This will decimate the group of 6, and that's why they're single file. Look at the acceleration from Letesenbet Gidey. She's only 21, and she is ripping through this field. Hassan has been dropped, Wanjiru has been dropped, and so too her older teammate, Semberi Teferi. Letesenbet Gidey, as Letesenbet Gidey steps off the track. She was having a torrid time. Gidey has laid down the gauntlet here and decided to really go for this. What an injection of pace. 64.9 for that lap. That's why she's broken this field in two. But as Tirop and Abiri give chase, Sifan Hassan is still there. This is so brave from Letesenbet Gidey, but look at that form. She's holding it beautifully. This is a brave, brave bid to try and win a gold medal against two women who are hugely experienced and decorated on multiple surfaces, on the country, on the road and on the track. Tirop chases with Hassan and Abiri. Has Gidey got enough to keep going?
She must think she has. It was a significant move, and it was at 1,500 metres to go. That's what we were just saying. If it comes down to the last 1,500 metres, 1 mile or so, as Hassan got that speed at the end of a 10,000 metre race. We'll find out soon. She did drop back off, but here she is. She's back on the pace.
Inside the last two laps of the women's 10,000 metres, Letesenbet Gidey, this precocious, hugely talented Ethiopian, is driving on. She injected an unbelievable 64-second lap. The Ethiopians in the crowd are desperate for her to win this. Helen Abiri is trying all she might, but she's been dropped. She's in fourth. And Sifan Hassan is closing. She's dragging Agnes Tirop with her. This has been so brave and so bold from Letesenbet Gidey, but Sifan Hassan, one of the athletes of 2019, has reeled her in. She's so inexperienced at the 10,000 metres, Hassan, but she's so strong. She's got such a range over the 15, over the 5, over the half marathon. And Gidey can't believe that Sifan Hassan is still there. What a run this is from all three of these potential medalists. They take the bell in the final of the women's 10,000 metres. There are athletes strewn all over the track. It's been a brutal, brutal last 10 laps. Sifan Hassan has barely run a competitive 10,000 metres on the track. She's trying to do it here for her country, for her family, and Gidey still won't give up. But Hassan has the speed that took her to a world record, not just on the roads over 5K, but on the track over the mile. Agnes Tirop is miles back, but she's in third. And Hassan keeps looking over her shoulder. We've rarely seen an athlete of such range, of such heart, and of such courage. The former Ethiopian now flying the flag for the Netherlands. At the end of what's been the best season of her career by far, she's answered the questions. Can she step up to 10,000 and dominate the world? Yes, she can. Sifan Hassan is the world champion, and what a run from Letesenbet Gidey. She thoroughly deserves that silver, and Agnes Tirop repeats her bronze from 2 years ago. What a podium. Netherlands 1, Ethiopia 2, Kenya 3, and a very, very tired Helen Abiri comes across the line. What a runner, and what a performance. A brilliant time in brutal conditions, by far the quickest run we've seen so far this year. That was incredible from Sifan Hassan. She's so inexperienced at this distance, but whether you try and take her on over a half marathon or a mile or in between over 10,000 metres, at the moment she's just simply unbeatable.
Yeah, what a great race we were treated to there. Gidey, the inexperience showed in the end. She couldn't believe it, could she? Coming up to 1 lap to go, that Hassan was there and she passed her. Did she go too soon? Perhaps, but Sifan Hassan, she would have got to the gold no matter how that race was run. The jury is out. How do you beat Sifan Hassan at the moment? It's only her second ever 10,000 metres. She's took around about a minute off her personal best. Only ever done one in a low-key event in America earlier this season. But she'll know from those grueling track sessions under the guidance of Alberto Salazar that she had the win in her. She sat back, didn't she? That was the tactic of both the gold and the silver medalists. They'd sit back for as long as they could, but when Gidey went, Hassan knew she had to respond to that move. She timed it well, she didn't panic, she was still in contention with 2 laps to go. Didn't look like it with 3 laps to go, but took the victory in the end, and quite dominant. Oh, she's enjoying this. She can't believe it.
Great images here. Letesenbet Gidey went to the front with 4 laps to go. Really, really brave way to try and win. Abiri tried to go with her and couldn't live with it. Now, this was the moment Sifan Hassan believed it was her time to shine. So gutsy and so talented. She won the diamond medal over the 1500 and the 5000. Wouldn't it be unreal if she decides to do the 1500? Because in this kind of form, with no Genzebe Barber who's injured, who's to say she couldn't do that double? And that would be unprecedented. A 10,000 and 1500 metre double, it could be on.
It could be on, and I think as fans of the sport, that's what we want to see. We want to be entertained. But hey, she's already got 1 gold medal around her neck. Look how much she had to work for that. She kept turning round, didn't she? She was hurting, she was pulling away, but she was still working really, really hard. But she worked hard for that one. And a gold medal, world champion Sifan Hassan at the 10,000 metres.
Here's the official result of the 10,000 metres. Sifan Hassan with the fastest time in the world this year. And look at that list of personal bests. Gidey, a lifetime best in second. Tirop, a lifetime best in third. So too Wanjiru fourth. Abiri fifth. Crummins in seventh. Hall in eighth. 3 Americans in the top 10 is a fine performance from them. Eamon Sisson coming home inside 31.15. But Sifan Hassan ripped it all apart on the last 400 metres, despite the bravery of Gidey going with 4 laps to go.